Support WrestleTalk!
Donate on Patreon.
Hello and welcome to WrestleRamble. This is Luke Owen, I'm Ollie Davis, and today we're reviewing this week's episodes of Raw and Smackdown, including Enzo Amore coming good for the Cruiserweight division, The Shield potentially getting back together for the Miztourage, and Rusev Day. Happy Rusev Day, Luke.
Happy Rusev Day,
Come
man.
in.
Oh, come on,
Happy
mate.
Rusev Day.
Day.
What have you been up to? How are you celebrating?
I watched 205 live.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's not very Rusev-y.
It wasn't very Rusev-like, no. But also, I did some push-ups. I went for a run, celebrated Bulgaria for a little bit. But mainly came into the studio and watched 205 live. For the first time, we watched a full episode.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun. It was actually genuinely a very good show. And I said to you, oh, mate, maybe this has been good all the time. And you just said, this week. This week's was a good episode. We'll see what happens next week. But I will say that, as the title of this episode suggests, that I'm fully behind Enzo as Cruiserweight champion now.
Who would have thought that on Sunday night after that stinker of a match?
Absolutely.
At No Mercy.
But then it didn't make any sense because, this whole thing, I'd have been fully behind this if the previous weeks hadn't just been, man, Enzo's a knob, Benny. We should probably bury him like he's a complete dick and we don't like him. Now they just put the belt on him and it's like, okay, yeah, now he's a heel and we're going to make him the complete figurehead of this. That would have made so much more sense if your weeks of build had been leading up to that.
So you're not going to ask me what I've done for Rusev Day?
I was just getting to that.
Well, if you took a roundabout way of doing it.
Well, I was leaving a pause in case you wanted to add anything else to it.
I'm going to save my thoughts for the review section, Luke.
Okay, well, I was going to
spunk it all out in the opening monologue.
I was going to cut you off anyway and just ask, how was your Rusev Day? What have you done with it?
I've been looking at pictures of Lana. Should we get into the reviews?
All of this was just a setup.
Because I was like, what can I say as an answer to this question? And I thought, I'll default to Pervy Ollie. Not Broken Ollie.
No, talking about
new character.
Alexa Bliss's mouth.
That was a misspeak.
Quite the callback. Also, before we do dive into the reviews, I've
Yes.
got to say, because we had DDP introduced the last episode we did of the WrestleRamble.
Don't get used to celebrity cameos. They're expensive.
Absolutely not. Do not get used to that. But I do want to give a shout out to my best man, not you, John, who set that up and got that for me as a bit of a groomsman present. It was very, very wonderful. I didn't really give him enough of a shout out. In fact, I didn't give him any shout out at all when we did the last episode.
You didn't have to.
Well, I don't know, but I know he's going to watch and he's going to be like, look at that, there's this complete div. He's my best friend, and I did this really nice thing for him, and he didn't even thank me on a show. But I was far too hungover to really focus on what I was doing. So thanks, man, if you're watching. Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
So Raw kicked off with a Miz TV segment. It was one booked the previous night on No Mercy. Miz went up to Kurt Angle, didn't he? And he was like, ooh, let me open Raw tomorrow night with interviewing Roman Reigns. He just beat John Cena, and there's rumours of him getting back with old friends.
Just to correct you, because I'm sure people will in the comments, Miz didn't ask for it to open the show. Kurt Angle suggested that it open the show.
Okay. And so this is what opened Raw. And I thought it really exposed Reigns as not being that entertaining on the mic, in a scripted format at least.
Yeah, and that's always been the problem with Roman Reigns, is that if you just give him a microphone and just let him run free, he's actually a very charismatic lad. But when you give him stuff and it's like, stick to the script, he's not a natural actor.
I think he's good at doing a badass line every now and again.
That's it, and that's all he needs to do.
Yeah, that's all he needs to do.
I've said, from the very get-go, when they split the Shield up and they were starting doing the push of Roman Reigns, just don't give him a lot of dialogue. Don't let him have to say a lot of things. Just have him come out and just be like, yeah, I'm going to beat you up now. And that be it, and that's all he needs is this promo, just being a badass, basically.
But Luke, The Rock didn't do that. The Rock cut promos.
Yeah.
And he was popular, and so was Steve Austin, and he cut promos.
But Steve Austin's promos...
How do you expect Roman Reigns to work if you're not trying to fit him into a predetermined model?
I was going to say, and let's be honest, Stone Cold promos were literally just, it would come out and just be like, I don't like what Vince McMahon is doing, and that's the bottom line, Stone Cold says it, and that'd be it. Then
Stunner someone.
Son of someone, and then he'd move on with the rest of his day because he was a badass, and people cheered him because he was a badass. You watch all these Attitude Era documentaries, and they're like, people loved Austin because they would really relate to him because he was a working man who beat up his boss, and what working man wouldn't want to beat up his boss? And I'm like, no, mate, I was a kid. I was a kid when I was watching it, and I liked him because he was cool and he was a badass. I didn't like it because he was beating up his boss. I don't know what that meant.
This is accidentally created a really nice segue into a point I was trying to make.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, which is, in the promo, Roman has this really forced line where he's like, I just want to, it was to the effect of, I just want to kick back sometimes and chill with a beer. And Miz is like, no beer on this show. We only have classy drinks like Manhattans or white wine or Lambrini. And it was kind of like they were trying to say, hey, this will help you out, Roman.
Yeah.
With the people who boo you, that adolescent contingent.
Because you know what they like?
Yeah.
Beer.
They like chillaxing and having beer.
Yeah, they're like Netflixing and chilling with a beer.
Yeah. Not craft beer. Don't say that. You're blue chip. You want to be not blue chip. Blue collar.
Yeah, blue collar.
Blue collar. You're blue collar. You just drink beer. And yeah, he said it, and it just came across as so awkward and transparent.
But and again, it comes out of things, because I've written my notes here. The crowd popped for Roman on a couple of occasions, and the times when they were popping for him, when he was just saying something like, "Well, let's fight," and then the crowd goes, "Oh yeah, I want to see him fight." But they try and pigeonhole into this, being like, "Oh, The Rock was Samoan, and you're Samoan, so you should definitely cut long promos and say funny things. Say the funny things like The Rock did. Say suffering succotash. The Rock would have got that over.
He's never recovered. Never recovered from suffering succotash.
No, and he knows it.
The Miz. So Roman had, what was it? He had 2 weeks of promos with John Cena. Or was it 3? I think it was 3 weeks of promo segments with John Cena. And then on the go home show before No Mercy, there was no Cena, and Reigns' best performance was when he had no one there to outshine him. And I didn't really think about that at the time. I thought, Roman cut a good promo without John there.
I think I said that on last week's show.
You did. But seeing Miz here, I was like, oh, it's because there wasn't anyone else in the ring who's better than him. And Miz is one of the best promo guys in the company. Can't wrestle very well.
King of soft style.
But he is a terrific talker. Facials are fantastic. He did so well in this segment that he actually got people to cheer Roman, because he was so good at trying. No, we don't have to do that now. We don't have to do the match now. I'm in a suit. And it was so good, people just wanted to see him get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And kind of forgot that Roman was consequently the guy they were cheering for. But yeah, I think it's just another example of Reigns being outclassed on the mic.
It's his big weakness. It really is, and I'd almost say it's his only weakness. Is that he's just not a good promo, and which is weird as well, because WWE really do have this mentality of that if you can't cut a promo, you can't get over and you won't get pushed, and yet here we are 5 years later, can't cut a promo, still getting pushed.
And who's your top guy? Who's your biggest drawing guy? It's Brock Lesnar.
Yes,
it's a guy who can't talk.
Yep.
Who you've packaged with a manager, advocate. Paul Heyman will tell you he isn't a manager.
Yes, it's
quite obviously a manager.
Yeah, because when he first was like with Lesnar back in 2002, he was his agent, because that's who they hated the most in the world, was agents. When
I went to the evening with Paul Heyman, which was one of the best wrestling events I've ever been to, it was by Inside the Ropes. Heyman did say, yeah, I was an agent, I was an advocate, because manager already been done. I'm not Bobby the Brain Heenan. I can't be the best manager in wrestling, so I'm going to be the best advocate in wrestling. And I was thinking in my head, it's just a different word for the same thing.
It is, but we've all fallen for it.
No, I still see him as a manager.
Well, I don't know, because when I see Paul Heyman, I'm like, he's something different too. And he was the same when he was with Punk. When I was looking, it was like, he's not like Bobby the Brain Heenan. He's not like he's not like a Paul Bearer. He's somewhere different. He feels like a sports manager, like an agent.
But still a manager.
Yes, I know it's a manager, but it's a different type.
It's a different kind of manager. It's not a whole different thing.
Yeah, okay, but let's put this into a WrestleTalk world. You and I are both presenters, but you're the face of this brand, which means you are a different type of presenter than I am.
But we're still presenters, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're better at it than I am, therefore, and you feel different to the way to mine.
But we're still presenters.
We're having a very silly argument here.
Are we?
Yes.
I think I'm right. So the Miz and Roman Reigns segment started it continued from No Mercy the previous night. These teasers of the Shield. So I can't remember Miz ever actually confronting him about the rumours of old friends getting back together.
No, I don't think he did.
But instead he said, if the Miz Taraj were around back when the Shield were around, no one would be talking about the Shield.
That's right.
There's a fly in here. What the hell? which was a brilliant line. You know, it was. I saw someone say, "Well, that's ridiculous." No. It was a line meant to make you think that.
That's the point. Yeah, it's meant to be ridiculous.
And that was the first tease of this is where we're going, which was sort of broken earlier that day by Ryan Satin and Pro Wrestling Sheet.
Was it? I thought it was McKenna.
Okay, so Pro Wrestling Sheet.
Yeah,
one of them. So yes.
Ryan Satin then reported it as an exclusive after McKenna had already done it.
I don't know why they do that. I don't know why.
Why Satin does that?
Well, like,
because that's his gimmick.
If they both work for the same thing, why would he break exclusives on Twitter?
Because that's his gimmick. It's a TMZ thing, isn't it? TMZ became who they are because they had breaking news exclusives, this, that, and the other. So he's just taken what he learnt from TMZ, which is ambulance chasing, and putting it into the sports, into pro wrestling.
But why wouldn't you tell one of your reporters, don't put that on Twitter because it would be more impactful on the website.
Do it.
Or just have like an exclusive written by James McKenna.
I don't know. Ask them.
Yes. So this then turned into when Miz tried to get out of the match, Kurt Angle came out and said, "Well, you're going to fight each other later tonight." The main event at the end of the second hour.
Yep.
But now, Mr. Raj, don't go anywhere because you've got a match against Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan because Jeff Hardy's out injured, which apparently he was injured since Great Balls of Fire.
Yes, what Meltzer said. Yeah, he's been working through that injury, and then it was just made really bad during the six-pack challenge.
Yeah, a torn rotator cuff. For quite a while.
But I think he had an injured shoulder, and then doing the match, that's what tore his rotator cuff.
I read today that he might actually be out till WrestleMania 34.
Ooh,
because
I was going to say that. I mean, a shoulder injury will put you out for a while.
Yeah, because torn rotator cuffs are what Cena had, and Cena came back in 4. Cesaro came back in 6 to 7, I believe. Mm-hmm. So they take a long time to recover from. But he's also got a leg injury. So those both together, yeah.
And so I guess I think we might have been talking about what's next for Jason Jordan because they're going to be moving Miz on to Roman. Perhaps they are going to just do Jordan and Hardy as this sort of pseudo tag team.
I hope not, because I want to see Woken. I want at least him have a go. I know we're over it, but I just want him to have a go.
I just don't think it's ever going to happen. Like, and to the point of when they put up the Woken video. And everyone was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna do it!" And I was like, "This is true. It's the true Long Island story." I can't even say that word.
He tweeted again the other day saying, "It's with my brother with brother Nero out injured. Get ready to become Woken." I was like, "Well, I've been ready for a while." So
it's been a while now.
This match was pretty good, actually. It only went about 5-7 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty good, but I mean, Booker T was my big takeaway from this match.
Yeah. Should we get into this now?
Let's get into this now. This is pretty much what you and I just discussed yesterday when we came in talking about this show, was how bad Booker T was all night long.
And we said it was bad on No Mercy.
Yep.
And we recently rewatched Money in the Bank 2011.
Yeah, and he was bad
where he was terrible there.
Yeah.
And I feel like all these things have happened in the same space of time. Like Booker T's just given up caring. Or maybe, because he was only meant to be there 6 weeks while David Otunga was filming a movie. He's been there like maybe 3 months now. Maybe that's all he's got in him.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because clearly he's not paying attention to the product or anything like that. Case in point, in this match, when Kurt Angle announced that you're going to be facing Matt Hardy and my son Jason Jordan, Booker T's just got it in for Jason Jordan. I think that's his main thing. He's just like, I don't like it. And Michael Cole's like, why? He's like, they've never teamed before. And Michael Cole's like, yeah, no, they did. They've teamed together quite a few times. And then Booker T, realising that he's made a mistake, was just like, oh yeah, but that was in a 3-way. I think what he meant to say was that was in a 6-man. But he said, no, that was in a 3-way, dog. And it was like, no, it was on the SummerSlam pre-show in a tag match.
To be fair, no one saw that match.
Literally, no one saw it.
People were still filtering into the arena. So let's just run through all the... If only we had like no one's using the Booker T time thing, are they?
No, I mean, if only there was another show out there that had like counters for the amount of mistakes that Booker T made in a show, like almost like a clock, but it's more about it's a different kind of time.
I think someone used to. I hope they bring that back wherever they go, because that was very enjoyable.
Wasn't it
like
just?
That.
Yeah.
But no, John O'Clock will come back.
No, unfortunately not.
So yeah, what else did Booker T do? He started ragging on Finn Balor and Goldust.
Yep.
Because Goldust, he don't know anything. This is my Booker T impression.
You do the jingle for this, right?
Yeah, that's me. And they don't get on together. Like Goldust was a tag team with R-Truth.
Yeah, that way he said he goes, Goldust doesn't never had friends. And he was like, he was a tag team with R-Truth for what seemed like 5 years.
Yeah. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the Akira Tozawa. Yeah, so Tozawa comes out with Titus Worldwide, and Booker T goes, "What's Titus ever done for Akira?"
No, what he said was because Titus came over and said something, and Michael Cole was like, "I think he wants you to join Titus Worldwide, Booker." And Booker's like, "Why would I do that? What's Titus ever done for anyone? What's Titus done?" And it was like, well, he led Akira Tozawa to the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, literally like a month ago.
I mean, I know it was a pointless 5-day reign. But still, the point remains, he did win him a title.
Maybe Booker T just forgot that entire week. Because all of these references are kind of in that SummerSlam go home to SummerSlam 7-day period.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe
He only has enough memory to to remember a couple of things. He's like Memento.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, actually, wasn't the Houston all that kicking off around that time?
No, it was after.
It was after it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he's just got other things on his mind.
What was it before?
I can't remember now. There's so many storms, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It was like Booker T thought he was a heel this week. So he was playing a heel character, but nobody else was in on this.
Yeah, and Corey Graves is the heel.
So anything else to say about Jordan Hardy versus
no,
beating
but
Mr.
I
Rush?
thought it was a fine little match. But I suppose my bigger thing would be that if you are setting up for a Shield reunion where you're taking on the Miz and the Miztourage, don't have them be beat.
Yeah.
You make them look like a credible threat, because I think you made this point in your Raw review, which was excellent, by the way, as always, where this isn't against a reunited Wyatt family. This isn't against the Balor Club. This isn't against some sort of broken Hardy thing. Now this is against the Miz and a couple of jokes. That doesn't really feel like something you need to bring back the Shield for, particularly when they do the big, beatdown angle later on in the show. When you're looking at Roman Reigns being beaten up by these two guys, and you're like, oh man, these two geeks were just beaten up by Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan. Why are you being beaten up by them, Roman Reigns? You just beat John Cena clean.
Yeah, it's like
after surviving 4 AAs, which everyone's really upset about.
Yeah, Miztourage lost here. And then Miz lost later on, despite all of the Miztourage interfering at various points.
Got to keep Roman strong
in that match. And then you beat him down. I'm just like, boy, without the steel chairs, I'm pretty sure Roman could beat all three of you in a 1-on-3 handicap.
Absolutely, he could do. He's the big dog, and this is his yard.
It's his yard, unless it's even an F5.
Wow,
would an F5 bring down the big dog?
Well, I suppose we'll find out at WrestleMania, won't we?
I thought, even though they lost, I was enjoying Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel as a team.
I really like them. I like them as a team. It's just that if you're going to put them into this position where they're facing off against the greatest faction in the history of the WWE, as Michael Cole will keep telling you, then have them win. It really wouldn't have hurt Hardy and Jordan to have lost it, especially if it was through Miz interference or something like that. It really wouldn't have hurt anything. And actually then, if you had one through Miz interference, you could have built up the idea of the numbers game, and which would have led into Miz versus Roman Reigns later on, where he again succumbed to the numbers game.
It's like they're doing the worst possible, not the worst possible, but it's a very lackluster, lazy feud to bring back the Shield, and then they're doing the opponents wrong anyway. Yeah. There's multiple levels of badness here. Elias beat Apollo Crews next, which was a rematch from the previous night's pre-show. And, it was pretty much the same. Nothing really to talk about other than that he attacked Titus. He kicked Titus in the leg, and O'Neal went for him.
I have called this a very one-sided feud. Because it's not even 50-50 booking. This is all 100% in Elias's direction.
Well, that's how the ongoing feud between Elias and your hometown, that is also very one-sided.
Yeah.
Elias has not had a comeuppance yet.
Whenever you make the insert your hometown here joke, it makes me think of The Simpsons.
Denver Broncos.
I was thinking more, I think it was me. It's so good to be here in Sprongfeld. This is so much better than Shelbyville.
Next up, we had probably the first good segment of Raw. this week, which was Kurt Hawkins coming out. And as soon as Kurt Hawkins came out, I was like, good, we're in for a bit of fun here. I like the losing streak gimmick. He's at 118 matches now that he hasn't won. And he's like, that's going to change now. And I genuinely didn't see it coming. You know, in retrospect...
I didn't see it either.
Because it's like, you know, Braun just faced Brock. Why would you put him in this? So that wasn't even in my head. I thought, I just wonder who's going to come out and this will be fun this week. And then when Braun's music hit and the look on Kurt's face, and as soon as Braun got to the ring, he just legs it out of there.
Yeah.
And the camera's back wide and you can see Hawkins running through the crowd. And I'm like, that's not Strowman, is it? And, you know, running faster on an intercepting path.
Yeah.
And then, now I'm scared.
Yeah. I missed Braun's running because he ran so fast I couldn't even finish my notes that Braun is coming out.
Yeah, there's one of my favourite Brock Lesnar clips ever, and it's I think he dismantles the Social Outcasts ages ago. I can't remember when this was, but Heath Slater. So Brock and Heath Slater are in the ring, and Slater runs out, and he goes like the side that's close to the commentary desk, and by the time he has got to the ground, Brock Lesnar has already come out the other side, ran round the turnbuckle to clothesline him.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there was a jump cut in here that I missed.
It's like the spear at WrestleMania, like after after the F5, and Brock's like, wah! And then all of a sudden, poof, out of nowhere comes Goldberg.
But that was more of a good camera work thing. This was just Brock Lesnar being freaking unstoppably fast.
Yeah, totally.
And it makes me think, like, you know, Lesnar's so fast and athletic. Braun Strowman's so fast and athletic. Why didn't they have a better match?
They booked the wrong match. They really I think that's down to the agents, really, and certainly down to Heyman if he's the one that's in charge of this whole shebang.
Yeah.
Like I know, which is disappointing, and that's why I thought it was the most disappointing. A lot of people criticised us for saying that because they said, well, people said that they felt the most disappointing main event of 2017 was Goldberg versus Kevin Owens, which
we all knew that was going to happen.
Well, that's me, which doesn't make it disappointing. That was inevitable.
Yeah, it's like X-Men 3 isn't the worst movie ever made, but it's personally the most disappointing one.
So the other thing I wanted to note down from Braun coming out and the pop that Braun got ties in again to all those people saying like, Braun was buried last night, no one will care now. People still care because that loss did not destroy his aura. Absolutely not.
But it definitely hurt him.
I don't think it did.
Oh, come on, you can't say it, you know, because the whole 24 hours afterwards we were talking about, you know, Braun suddenly doesn't look as good. It's taken one F5 to put him away. Yeah, I know they're telling a larger story, and it didn't bury him by any stretch of the imagination, but it definitely, you know, knocked him off course.
Well, you'd say that, but then if that was the case, he wouldn't have got the same reaction he got last night, because that reaction he got was the same reaction he was getting whenever he was coming out to face Brock. So it hasn't hurt him at all then.
But don't you think a match at for a Universal title, the top in the company, against Brock Lesnar, your biggest star, that should end with the other person moreover?
An interesting point. But that's not. There wasn't the loss that hurt that. I'd just argue that the match probably hurt that.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's the match,
but not the loss.
Because we always. Very few.
But that's what I'm saying. But everyone, the point everyone makes is whenever people lose to Brock, it makes them look weak, and I just don't think it does.
Yeah, it all depends on the style in which in which they lose.
Yeah.
Braun then picked up Kurt Hawkins after scarily running after him, put him through a table, and then put him through the video screen at the top of the ramp.
Cut his arm up pretty bad.
Yeah, have you seen the picture?
Well, I didn't see the picture, but I noticed when he got back into the ring, he just had blood dripping down his arm.
Yeah. So there's a picture that WWE posted on Twitter, and it just looks like he's been attacked by a werewolf down the right-hand side of his back.
Yeah.
So those LED screens are sharp.
Of course they are.
Oh. Then Braun's like, he does his old "I want competition" thing again, and who should come out but it's Wacky Dean Ambrose after this really fun, serious angle. Oh, looks over there. There's Kurt Hawkins on the ground. I'm gonna fight him anyway.
I've got to admit, I did laugh. I thought it was great because Dean's the perfect guy to go out and do this sort of thing, which is just like, yeah, I'm Dean Ambrose and I'm unstable. The Ambrose Asylum. So he just came out and he looked at Kurt and thought, man, that doesn't look like it was fun. Oh well, whatever. And I just think that Dean's got very good, he's got great facial reactions, and I think that he sold that very well. And it tied into the story later on when Seth came out. It's like, if you're gonna do something that stupid, at least tell me first. Because then when Seth walks off, Dean goes, was pretty stupid though. And no, it was good. It's one of the few times I've enjoyed Wacky Dean.
Oh, okay. Well, it's like Wacky Dean is good, right? Like that's a good character. But is it the best use of Dean Ambrose? No, it isn't. Like unhinged Brian Pillman style Dean Ambrose is the best form of Dean Ambrose.
I think that's what they think they're doing.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's not working. And you're right. It did all tie into the story later, but it's like how Sami Zayn, when he's doing his annoying geek Woody Allen thing, he's doing that character very well. But it is no way the best use of his character or the best interpretation of what he should be doing.
So glad they've dropped that.
Yeah, that is better. So Dean Ambrose then comes out, and they have a pretty good, like I quite enjoyed this match.
Yeah,
good big man, small man match.
Yeah.
What I really liked about it is that Ambrose was very heavily selling his shoulder. It was taped up. So although he was beaten clean by Braun, but he did go, about 10 minutes with him. I came away thinking, yeah, but Dean was hurting all the way through. So, I don't know why they don't do that more to protect the people they're beating. Rather than 50-50 booking, just leave an element of doubt but if that person was fully on their game.
It's like the tie thing when you hit the tiebreaker and...
Exactly that, yeah.
AJ kicked out.
Yeah. So what else happened in this match? Oh, yeah, that was it. I thought that a lot of people would be angry, like, oh, Dean Ambrose has been sacrificed. But, losing clean in that manner. But I thought the shoulder injury helped that in part. But also, Braun's your biggest star.
Yeah.
Braun's got more fire behind him and more momentum, and he needed a loss. He needed a win. He needed a win after that Brock Lesnar match. And Dean, sometimes you just got to take a pin. And he needed a credible opponent to beat. If it was Apollo Crews who came out, it wouldn't have meant anything.
No, it wouldn't have been as impactful if he's like, I want some competition, and then Apollo Crews came out. You'd be like, all right, cool, well, we know where this is going then.
So you thought the Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose backstage bit was good?
Didn't say it was good.
Okay.
I said that last line was quite funny.
Okay.
Because the actual segment itself, not so great. Although, not as bad as the Bailey Sasha one.
Yep. Well, that's well done, WWE. You had a hat trick of awful backstage interviews or segments. Those two and the Finn Balor
promo.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we'll come on to Balor later on. But actually, surprisingly, the next segment on this show might have been my favourite segment of the whole thing, which surprised me. It really did, because Alexa Bliss came out, and Alexa Bliss is grand. She's a very good promo, and I really like her work. And then when Mickie James came out, I was like, I've seen this match, and this match is no good. I've seen this feud, and it were no good. And Mickie has been just mostly irrelevant since the brand split, more or less since she came back, really.
Just completely irrelevant since Superstar Shake-Up.
She's been she was more or less lost in the shuffle with Dana Brooke, and I was like, oh god, this is bad. I mean, I know it makes sense because she's just beaten all the other 5 girls in the division, but this is no good at all. But then they cut some very good promos on each other, and I laughed out loud when Alexa Bliss said, I was a huge fan of you when I was a little girl. I think I might have had you in my MySpace top 8.
Yeah.
Like, that is a niche joke. A niche joke that a certain generation will understand, but I loved it.
That was a money line.
Yes.
And Alexa's the way she delivered everything was, it's not a humble brag, but she was. The content of what she was saying was she was negging. Okay, that's the pickup artist terminology. It seemed like she was being nice to her, but actually she was completely ripping her to shreds.
Yeah.
And it was that perfect bitchy level thing that suits Alexa's character so much. And Mickie James came back with just as much I'm a veteran badass. She came across like a badass.
Absolutely.
Mickie James. And after all that time, all those months of doing nothing, I suddenly see Mickie as a title contender, and I want to see this match.
And it was weird because when they had this little segment, when Mickie came out, I was like, okay, so we're going to see Alexa versus Mickie later on tonight. I'm not really looking forward to that. But then after this promo, and I was like, oh, actually, it feels like they're building up towards a championship match instead, maybe at the next pay-per-view. And I'm down for that. I think that'd be really good.
Because you need to burn some time while Asuka's coming up the other way.
Mm-hmm.
You let Bliss go through some challenges, and then Asuka is goes through her own people and waiting for another giggity or something.
Oh no!
And then they clash later on. So I think that's great. And all of a sudden, the Raw Women's division, after just being multi-match, Nia versus Enter people here. You've got the Bliss versus James feud. You've got Asuka coming up. You've got Nia Jax still running through people. And whatever the hell Bayley and Banks are doing.
Yes, which I suppose we'll come on to later. But especially after the big promo that they did at No Mercy and the build-up to No Mercy, it still surprises me that they're just... have they done Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss? Because I know they did on last week's Raw, but then No Mercy suggested that they haven't done it on last week's Raw, and that feud is still continuing. And then that was sort of built up throughout the match. And then come this show, it was like, yeah, Nia's in a tag team match with Emma, and Mickie James is now the contender. So are they just holding off on it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, as you were talking just then, I thought, well, maybe they're saving... Nia has been... Whatever they've done to that program, it's not hot anymore. Maybe they're going to build it up to another one of the big four, maybe at Rumble. And I thought, oh, wait, there's going to be there's talks of a women's Rumble at the Royal Rumble.
Which I hope there is.
Yeah, that'll be super cool. And I thought, actually, what if Nia beat Alexa and your big program you do is Asuka going up against Nia?
I could go for that,
and I never thought about that before.
Yeah.
I would much rather see that as two unstoppable objects.
Oh, totally, yes, because then you've got the undefeated Asuka going up against... And then what you've got to do is just have Nia just running through people in the lead up to WrestleMania.
Like as a Royal Rumble thing, and she eliminates practically everyone.
Yeah.
Number 15. I've just got 15's in my head. That's how many women they're going to do for it.
15, I'd have done 20.
Is there enough?
You could easily do 20 with some of the girls in NXT.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got surprise returns.
Mae Young Classic people.
Speaking... Oh, you don't watch until Friday, but have you watched the Honor Battle Royal yet?
Oh, is that on the TV?
Yeah.
No.
It's really great.
Yeah, I heard a WCW guy comes back. I don't know who it is, though. So don't tell me.
I popped so big.
So it's a rubbish person.
I'm not going to say anything, but I popped massively for it. That was a WWF one.
Oh, yeah, my bad. So, yes, this was a very good segment, and it went into Seth Rollins beating Sheamus.
As I've written in my notes here, effing Groundhog Day this.
Yeah.
I've seen this match, and I know they had the best match on the show at No Mercy, but I don't need to see them doing singles matches again, as particularly when it feels like that feud is done now.
Yeah, it's... The funny... Brian Alvarez pointed this out on Wrestling Observer Radio. The Dean and Seth backstage segment. Dean goes, you're too predictable, you're the architect. And Seth goes, I'm not predictable. And then he goes out and has a match with Sheamus. And Alvarez goes, that's the most predictable thing you could have done. I enjoyed Cesaro at ringside just because the guy's a freaking boss. Standing there, can't open his mouth.
He's awesome.
Oh,
mate, but I can't talk about his teeth anymore. It makes me feel super queasy. It makes me feel very ill.
Making my next up, we had what really was the show's main event. It was end of second hour, going into the third, and Roman Reigns beat The Miz. We've already kind of talked about it. It was a decent match.
Match. I really enjoyed the match.
Why not give The Miz the win if you're also going to have some Miz to Raj interference?
He's got to keep Roman strong.
Yeah, but he needs to look a bit weak to get the Shield back together.
I wonder if because Roman's facing him for the IC title next week and he's not going to win it, they can't have Miz beat him 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so that was the fallout of this, that Reigns is going to face Miz for the IC title, which lends horrible credence to this reported plan that that Roman is going to win the IC title before WrestleMania to make him a Grand Slam.
Yeah, which Dean already is, but they don't want to mention that because it's more important for Roman to do it.
It was mentioned once.
Yeah, it was mentioned
on a WWE.com top 8 article. That's all they've ever said.
But I enjoyed this, and actually, do you know what? I really enjoyed the post-match beatdown.
It was long.
It was long, but that's why I enjoyed it.
You see, it was good, and I enjoyed the Shield fist bump at the end. I mean, the main... unfortunately...
I think Bo Dallas used the wrong hands, like a dweeb.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't really get into any of this because I just don't buy the Miz Tarajas.
That is an issue.
It's like, because you only get to do a Shield reunion, the first Shield reunion once. So why do it with the Miz Taraj?
But dude, we've been talking about this, like, you only get your women's Money in the Bank. You only get one shot to do that once, and they had James Ellsworth winning. You only had one chance to do John Cena versus Nakamura for the first time, and you did that on SmackDown. You only got one time to do Nakamura and Randy Orton. You did that on SmackDown as well. But it's, they're not worried about these sort of first times anymore. They're moments.
It's just so short-sighted. It's like, I mean, the last time I can remember them doing it correctly was when Evolution came back to put over the Shield. But then they undid a lot of that by Seth Rollins turning on them 3 weeks after or whatever it was.
It was the night after their second win.
Which Batista was very unhappy about.
Well, because Batista had quit earlier in the show. Yeah, I think it was the same show anyway. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, where he ripped his pants or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just you could bring up, like, I don't know why I've got sanity in my head, but you bring up a faction, and the Shield have to come back together to defeat them, and then they eventually put them over in the feud.
Mate, what are they called?
The passing of the torch. Yeah,
the Ring of Honor guys.
The Undisputed Era.
Undisputed. I think they're just called Undisputed.
It's still a bad
All
name.
I know it's bad. Someone put up, I think it was on a What Culture video, said they should be called Dishonored.
Dishonored's
such
wicked.
a much better name. Yeah. But because they released the T-shirt, which was Undisputed Era. I think everyone just assumed that's what they were called. But I think no, it's just they are the Undisputed Era. Their team is called Undisputed, and this is their era.
Yeah, well, because I looked on their product page, and usually you have the name, like the New Day or whatever, and they were down as the Undisputed Era.
They've only ever called them Undisputed on TV.
Yeah, maybe they could change it. Hopefully they change it.
Yeah.
Both things are awful, but one is less awful.
Yeah.
So the problem with this, for me, apart from all the Mr. Raj stuff, is you had the beatdown with the chairs, and then you go away and you come back. And I liked Miz coming back. I would have just saved the chairs for the second beatdown, because it just feels like more of the same. And it went on so long. Where was Seth and Dean? That's what I found myself asking.
Well, there is always that, but that happens a lot with babyface beatdowns. Is that there are no other babyfaces that come out to make the save. Everyone's only ever interested in their own storylines, which never really makes any sense. Because like it's not just Seth and Dean. There's loads of babyfaces back there that should be like standing up for other babyfaces against bullies.
Yeah.
That could run out. Where's Kalisto? He could have run out and given a hand.
Why Callisto?
Because he's a babyface.
Because he'll run out and get clobbered.
But wouldn't that have been great though?
Yeah.
If a ragtag group of babyfaces came out, like Kalisto, Apollo Crews, and maybe some of the Cruiserweights or something, come out to try and help this dude out, and they're just fighting them off with chairs, and it just make them look even more imposing.
And the week after, Roman Reigns encounters Seth and Dean in the hallway, and he's like,
"Where were you?
Where were you last week?" And then you can kind of do the same pre-SummerSlam story of them friction and then coming together. Mm-hmm. I would have given them a Trios Championship. Next up, we had
the King of Wrestling, whatever it is.
Finn Balor, which they seem to kind of be doing on 205 Live. Finn Balor beat Goldust next up. This was part of, it was a throwaway match, but at least they tried to make something of it, which was Goldust confronted Balor backstage. He took him out. There was that awful Finn Balor interview earlier on where he said, "Now I'm done with Bray. I'm going for the Universal Championship."
Yeah.
Which is expected to be the next Brock feud, so maybe Survivor Series or Backlash. And yeah, it's not done. Bray did the music.
Do you know what?
Bray did the music.
I could not believe my eyes and ears when after the match, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me! You can't. This feud is done. They had their 3 matches. Finn won it conclusively. What's Bray got left to fight
face
over?
Paint,
without
face paint.
So that storyline's done. What has Bray got left to fight over?
I mean, Wyatt Family Balor Club heading into Survivor Series.
If that's what this comes back with, then grand.
Yeah.
They were talking about they're repackaging Luke Harper. Don't bother. Just like if you're gonna break, just turn him over to Raw. If that's what they're gonna do, then fine. But at the same time, you've already finished this storyline.
It's difficult because, every week leading up to No Mercy and No Mercy itself, we're like, this Enzo stuff isn't working. This Enzo stuff is burying the division. But hey, that's what sometimes happens when you take individual parts of a whole. And now I'm looking at the whole, I'm thinking, this Enzo turn was good. So maybe, hopefully, in 2 months' time, we'll be going, wow, what a feud overall.
This Balor-Wyatt feud really did turn itself around, didn't it?
The opposite of the Randy Orton-Bray Wyatt feud, where it started off really good and then got so bad.
And they got maggots on a mat.
Yeah. This was... So I read a Cage Side Seats review of Raw, and they very optimistically said... I think they just completely misinterpreted the segment. Or maybe they're onto something. They went, wow, this ended up being a really good story. I like the way Bray's show of respect to people who have defeated him is by playing, specifically, he's got the whole world in his hand. The whole world in his hand.
Oh, that's what it did, yeah. It wasn't a blub, it was the whole world in his hand.
Yeah, so the idea would be, I respect you, Finn. You can move on now. Here is my show of respect to you for beating me. You've got the whole world. And that kind of sounds, what you just said is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's happening again next week.
If I was to try and pick up that microphone jack over there, I would be reaching. And I feel they are too.
Yes. Next up, we had another terrible backstage segment, which was Bayley and Sasha Banks delivering some of the, well, I don't want to say worst dialogue of recent times because there's been so much of it. But this week, certainly the show.
I would say this was the worst backstage segment of the week.
Yes. Worst backstage segment of the week.
But I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, it was certainly the worst of the week. And it led to a tag match in which my note I've written here is, whatever. I've got literally nothing to say about it.
Yeah, when I do the live notes and I eventually turn that into the Raw in about 4 minutes review script, it just said Emma pinned. What else happened? Nia was protected, I guess, but yeah, this backstage segment was atrocious.
But like this and the Balor Goldie match, in fact, actually, this whole third hour, this is now it's a consistent theme that they're running with now, which is that they book Raw to be a 2-hour show, and book those 2 hours, and then the third hour is just here's just some stuff. It's not stuff that we're caring about. It's not stuff we're really that invested in. Here's just some stuff, and then. But really, you only need to tune in for the first 2 hours of the show, because if you didn't tune in for the third hour, you didn't really miss a whole lot, with the exception of the Enzo stuff. But that's only if you're really invested in the cruiserweights, which we've been taught we're not meant to be.
Yeah, it's like there's a Raw post show now.
Yes, and it's the third hour.
Third hour.
Yeah.
And there was a 16% drop. I don't know if you saw that for the third hour.
Ouch.
Like 500,000 people tuned out.
Well, of course, because
during to after Miz Roman.
Because you've seen the main event, which was Roman versus Miz. Like that's what the show is being built around. So once that's done, then you're off.
So let me, for all the people who say, "Oh, I want more WWE television," Raw as 3 hours is great. When there is actually statistical evidence why it's not, because the audiences are down very much over the 5 or 6 years it's been running. Let me run you through this 2-hour version of Raw. Miz TV with Roman Reigns setting it up. The opening tag match. Then Kurt Hawkins and Braun into Braun and Dean. Then the Bliss and James promo. Then Roman Reigns defeating The Miz. And you move that Cruiserweight title celebration somewhere in the middle of the show. That is a packed show with above average to very good segments.
Solid 2-hour show.
Yeah. But you filtered it down. You've not filtered it down. You've
expanded it.
Expanded it,
yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Needlessly.
So yes, but let's get on to that final bit, because the end bit of Raw was actually very, very good, in my opinion, with Enzo Amore coming out and doing, what they actually pulled off here was a very complicated and sophisticated double turn through performances and words rather than a match.
Yeah.
It was
spellbinding. Exactly. I put it out on Twitter, but I've completely turned a corner on this. And, I was so down on this last week, as we mentioned at the top of the show, but I've completely turned a corner because it's now created a very interesting character in Enzo, which is just that I'm an undeserving champion, which I hate because they're doing the same thing with Jinder on SmackDown. But here, it actually really works with Enzo because he's such a good promo that it really, really works. And then you've got Enzo out there going like, I'm making 205 relevant, that people are sticking around. This is the first time the Cruiserweights have ever been in the main event slot of Raw, and that's because of me. That's why this Enzo character works and why the Jinder character doesn't work. Totally works with Enzo. And then when you have like the Cruiserweights come out and just stand there, although TJP looked like he didn't want to be there for the majority of it. But then when Neville came out, didn't wet his hair, so it looked really straggly.
Just looked like he hadn't slept for a couple of
days.
They
said that on 205 Live. It looks like he hasn't slept since he lost on Sunday. But he came out, and I love this Unhinged Neville. Unhinged Neville is awesome because he's a great promo. And he cuts this awesome promo on Enzo. And he cuts a great promo on 205 Live where he's just like, Enzo won't give me a title shot, but I don't care. And then as soon as the match started, the first thing he did was go out the ring to try and beat up Enzo, because that's all he wants to do now.
A badass babyface.
Because Enzo kicked him in the nads, and he's not happy about that. He made a fool out of him, and Neville is not a man to be made a fool out of.
So back in the day, you used to have babyface territories and heel territories, and that was essentially the babyface territories. You'd have a big babyface champion on top that heels would come and challenge, like Bruno Sammartino for the WWF in New York for forever. You know, he didn't lose the belt for ages. But then you'd have heel territories where you just have a dominant heel forever, and the babyfaces would always come up short. 205 Enzo Amore, I never thought I'd say this, even 2 days ago, Enzo Amore has very, very realistic potential to be a money heel for 205 Live. Like, people will tune in. Like, we tuned into that.
I was going to say,
enjoyed the heckings out of it today.
I came into the studio and I didn't watch 205 Live this morning because I was watching Smackdown. But I was like, do you know what? I'm actually going to save 205 Live. I'm going to watch that when I get into the studio. Came in and I put it on, and the first thing you said was, oh, actually, yeah, I might watch this with you. Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching it this week.
And it is. I was more interested after Raw finished. I was more interested about 205 Live than I was SmackDown.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. And then 205 Live delivered some very, very good stuff. I really enjoyed the...
what a match, Tozawa and
Tony
Nese.
Nese. That was a great match. That was brilliant. And then the main event was really, really great as well.
Enzo's promos were good.
Awesome stuff. And I'm looking at the next week, you've got Jack Gallagher versus Cedric, and I'm like, yeah, I'm down for that. I can go for more of that.
It's weird because on paper, like if you were to lay this out for me, Enzo Amore is going to turn heel, which, you know, does kill his merchandise. It makes him problematic because he's so charismatic and you want to cheer along with him. And he's going to go out as the Cruiserweight champion, a guy who can't wrestle, and it's been brought up many times that he can't wrestle and he's undeserving. And he is going to point out all the things legitimately wrong with the Cruiserweight show and division. You know, this guy looks fat. This guy has no charisma. Yeah. There's no stars on this show. And I'd be like, what are you doing? This doesn't, don't do that. But, and I've got to put it down to both Enzo and Neville here. They're making it work.
They completely make it work. But I come back to it again. It would have been so much better if you didn't have those doofy segments with, like, The Miz saying that we're putting you in 205 Live because that's a demotion and you had to be kicked off a bus because you're too busy partying with your celebrity mates. And then you had the segment where Braun just beats him up, you know, the week before No Mercy. If you take all of that dumb stuff out, it's been a fairly decent build. But that dumb stuff just clouds over everything. It's like, so all the building to No Mercy was complete guff and just didn't work. But now that the fart smoke has cleared, and now like the skies are blue again, like Enzo Amore's eyes, we're grand. Away we go.
It's like WWE actually told a really good heel turn for Enzo, a slow building heel turn where he was cheating, but he was being friendly with everyone, and that was the story. But they couldn't resist it. They had to bury him
because no one likes him backstage. They had to they sacrificed their story so they could bury him on TV.
So it's time to honour all of our $10 WrestleTalk Patreon backers. I said that right, I think. Donators. Yeah. I sort of, you know, when you don't know what you're going to say and you just start speaking and then you lose. Like, sometimes that's fine.
Yeah.
Run a lot of my life like that. But other times you're like, no, I've forgotten the next syllable. Find it. It was on talk there. WrestleTalk. I forgot what the rest of the show was called.
Is it not Donators then?
Yeah, I think it can be.
Yeah.
I just felt like I stumbled.
That's what I'd have said.
I should have probably just not drawn attention to it.
You'd have got away with it.
So here we go. Here's some Hall of Fame rings. Get it? It's a pun. This is going to be beautiful for people listening with headphones on. So, thank you, Krishna the Deadshot.
The chairman of the board. I'm going to say Chairpersonen.
Chairpersonen,
yeah, which I feel bad about because you do contact me on Twitter a lot. So thank you very much, Chairman.
Jer is. I know someone called Jer.
Okay,
so hopefully that's how they pronounce it too.
I apologise. I'm very British.
Yeah, like a soft J. Hogging. Daniel Bramlett, the dog's out. Oh, you made that one. That's great.
Jonathan, the headmaster headman.
Barn Burnaby Weatherall.
Brandon Powell.
That's great. Oh my God! I just hit the mic with the baton. Alexander the Barrister Barrington.
Seaborn by the Waters.
Jason the Exalted One Jones.
David Big Mac McKenzie.
Quiet, Riot White family. Wow, that's a tongue twister.
No, Mr. No Nickname Needed, Blaine McCool.
Do you know the story behind that?
It's because Blaine McCool is an awesome name.
I said to him, you don't need a nickname. I'm just going to call you Blaine McCool. And he said, okay, you can do that if you reference the fact I don't need a nickname. And so I did. And he said, actually, could you call me Mr. No Nickname? But yeah, I can. Machine Gun Dustin Sabecki.
King of Trios, Sebastian Hernandez III.
I've got a good Trios Shield reunion storyline if you want it. Wrestling at the Chase Harmon.
Razman's Reality.
Reality.
Realty. Sorry, Razman's Realty.
It's not. The most decorated E-Fed champion of all time, Casper Sanchores.
The Unbreakable Joe Cage.
Got a lot of these, haven't we?
Yeah.
Thank you. Gabe, we're going to be rolling in that sweet, sweet Patreon ones and zeros.
Is this where you want me to put me back up the podcast things? To make people really uncomfortable again.
Gabriel the Mark Jones.
Jamie Ring the Bell.
Don't worry, we're nearly done, people. Hole in one Martin Putt.
Razor Ramon Valadez. Bugger, what is that?
Valadez.
Yeah, Valadez.
Oh, sorry, did I get
Razor Ramon Valadez.
Yeah, you get a proper ring that time. Anthony, I'm loving Engels instead.
And The Reminiscence, a special tag team of Marty the Moth, Leal and Gilbert.
That's our first tag team. Thank you.
It's a Smackdown review, Maggle. I love it. We got us a flying Uso.
Now, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to talk about Smackdown and I'm going to whip myself into a frenzy about how much I love Kevin Owens, and I might give the Raw versus Smackdown decision to Smackdown again.
Yeah, so we'll give the game away.
Yeah, well, I don't know. At the moment, I'm thinking it's Raw for me as the better show this week.
Interesting.
Just because I like the Enzo stuff and the Braun stuff was fun. The Miz, I've already said my piece on that. But Smackdown, I am such a big fan of what they're doing with Owens.
Yeah.
That it could win it. So I haven't given anything away. You'll have to tune in to find out.
Well, as I've written here, is that I loved this promo. I thought this promo was better than last week's one. I had my issues. Not so much I had my issues, but I thought his in-ring promo was so much better. And I think it's because he can feed off the live crowd rather than just being in front of a camera. I thought it worked so much better for his character, especially then because you had the Sami Zayn come out. I thought this was a great segment. I really did.
Yeah, I thought it was a great segment too. I thought last week's Owens promo was so much better. Did you go back and rewatch it? Because you said, maybe I
need to go back and rewatch it. Yeah, I never did.
So what happened is Owens came out and he started ragging on Shane, and then Sami Zayn came out of all people and effectively said, look, we were best friends for however long, and I know when you snap. I can see you snapping, and I'm just saying, even though I hate you, because Sami Zayn's such a nice guy, don't snap, don't go too far.
Yeah, and then Kevin Owens comes back these amazing retorts of just like, you're just jealous.
Yeah.
Because you were here 2 years before I was, and I've been US champion, I've been IC champion, I've been Universal champion, and what have you done?
Yeah, well, and Sami Zayn had the best line retort to that, which was, yeah, you've got all those things, but you've taken shortcuts, you've taken the easy way out, you've used Triple H. You might have all those things, but you can't look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and that's when, because I was watching this play out, and I said this in my review, I don't think I've told you, I felt like this was almost Kevin Owens arguing with his conscience.
Yes.
And that Sami Zayn is, like, you could have just put, like, Sami Zayn could be dressed in like an angel suit or something, as I've come down to tell you what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And, there doesn't have to be a wrestling crowd there. It's just Kevin Owens doing this monologue with himself. I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was a great three-dimensional look of Owens' character. And to me, this just screams Jimmy Jacobs. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree, but, Jimmy Jacobs is a dark guy creatively, and this... I'm going to very Jacobs feel to this.
And can I tell you how I also feel how great this segment was? When this segment ended, Daniel Bryan came out and he said, the main event of tonight's show is going to be Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. And my first reaction was like, man, I mean, I think I'm almost done. I'm bored to tears with seeing this match now, in WWE at the very least. And I've written in my notes here, WWE have managed to kill this feud because they didn't care enough when they did, like, the last time ever. they could have just put them onto different brands and you'd have been fine. They put them on the same brand and then they just kept facing each other in more matches. So that last match meant nothing really, and the resulting matches meant nothing. So when they announced it, I was like, oh, mate, I'm bored of seeing this match. But the actual match that they had felt so much. It almost felt like actually, credit to Byron Saxton. He was right when he said it. It's a feud renewed. When they started fighting it, I was like, I've never been so invested in this feud. Or I haven't been this invested in this feud for some time. Because they've killed all my interest in it. But because of Owens' great promo and Sami Zayn's great promo, this match now feels like so much more. And I'm now so much more interested in this feud. And I've got some big things to talk about that when we get to
big topics.
Big topics.
Well, it's like I'm now looking at this feud because Shane McMahon's okay. And Sami Zayn's great, but really, I'm looking at this, and it was the same with the Sami Zayn feud before heading into Battleground last year, which was incredible, and that was the previous last time ever. It's Kevin Owens in a feud against himself. It's Kevin Owens at war with his own demons and violence and whatever. Oh, I'm loving it. But all these demons are being physically, or the good side of him has been physically manifested in other people, and he's the horrible Kevin Owens. He's the bad timeline version.
It's the alternate 1985.
Yeah, this would be so much better if you're right, if they didn't on-off have matches that meant nothing since that Battleground match last year. Because it would have been about a year, 2 months.
Exactly, yeah, and it would have been so much, it was the simplest thing they could have done, which was just put Kevin Owens on Raw and Sami Zayn on SmackDown and just kept them apart from each other, and then we wouldn't have had those naff matches that meant nothing.
Yeah, because Battleground was right before. That was the last.
Yeah, it was the last one. Yeah.
No idea why they're following each other around. Maybe they just like travelling together.
Well, they are best friends.
Yeah. But kayfabe.
Sorry, kayfabe.
Next up, we have Baron Corbin beating Ty Dillinger in an ad break.
Yeah.
It was a good ad break.
That is the story of SmackDown, though, isn't it? It's like most of the matches just tend to happen in ad breaks.
Yeah, so it was about a minute of action and then 2 minutes when they came back. But they did it's the ads on one side of the
problem is, okay, so we've had that before where people was like, oh yeah, but the ad, the match carries on in the corner screen. Problem is that what you're seeing is the same thing that everyone gets when it's an ad break, just rest holds. So it's not like you've actually missed out on any action. They're just doing nothing. So it's like, oh, back from the break and Baron Corbin's in control. Nothing happened during the break, but Baron's in control now. Yeah. I went away and made a cup of tea, came back. Same thing what I was expecting. Oh man.
There we go. There's a t-shirt down. Place your bets now. Shane McMahon's t-shirt has just
jumped off the Hell in a Cell.
Literally jumped off the wall and took out a cardboard Undertaker figure. I
was going to say took out the Undertaker.
That is a WrestleMania 32 moment. So we come back and it's credit to how good Dillinger is and that he managed to make this 3 minute of TV time match pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
It ended with Baron mouthing off to AJ and then throwing Ty into AJ. Baron beat the count. The crowd were loving it because they got to chant 10 for every bit.
Yep.
This feud though is pretty lackluster.
I liked the finish. Really liked the finish because it protects Ty in particular. I felt that what this needed, because to me this feels like it's more building up towards a three-way feud as opposed to just being Baron Corbin versus AJ at Hell in a Cell. I feel next week you're going to get Ty inserted into that
Hopefully.
match. That's my hope anyway, because I just think a one-on-one match is going to be, and the story's not been leading to a one-on-one match. What this needed, or what it needs next week, is for Ty to confront AJ and say, like, do you know what? I would have won last week if you hadn't have mouthed off to Baron Corbin. It's your fault that I lost that match. And I'd have liked to have seen when AJ was in the ring mouthing off to Baron Corbin, for him to turn around and for Ty to hit him with the tiebreaker.
That would be nice.
Not as a heel turn, but just being like, dude, you cost me my match. What's that all about?
Oh yeah, definitely. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
It's just this, the US title. We've been not conditioned, but we hope that it's about really good matches, thanks to John Cena's run back in 2015. But all the matches as of late have just been ad breaks.
Yeah.
So I'm finding it very hard to get invested in these stories because we're not seeing the stories play out through action.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Next up, we had Jinder Mahal's latest
as I've written here, I mean, I knew they were going to do it for a third week in a row. And I was like, okay, well, this is the time when Shinsuke comes out and they're going to do the big entrance and stuff, and then we can finally be done with this. But when they did it again, I was like, oh, I cannot watch. This is the worst. This is the absolute dirt worst. until the reveal, when I suddenly went, actually, it sort of made that all really worth it, to be honest.
Yeah.
That really made everything worthwhile.
Are you saying it made racism worth it, Luke?
Well, no, because I don't.
That's what you're saying.
It's funny enough you bring that up.
You're saying
because
racism's okay
Because you
if
made a
it's fun
really
in the
good
end.
point. You made a really good point last week, which is that it's Jinder being a hypocrite by saying that this whole the America's completely racist towards me, but then he's being racist towards Nakamura, and that's a really interesting character thing. I don't think that is the story.
I think
Because
they just dropped it because of the mainstream reaction.
I was going to say they completely dropped that, but the reveal when he was just like, "Look at this picture of Nakamura here," and then the hands just twitch, and the reaction from like the Singh brothers and Jinder just like, "What? What is it? What is this? What's going on?" It was great.
Because the Singh brothers are really good
Comedy
at
foil.
reacting to stuff.
I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really, really great.
I thought it was good. I wasn't like, oh, that's what top 10 angles of the year.
Well, no, obviously not.
Yeah.
But like, considering how maybe it's a low bar. Considering how bad the last 3 weeks have been of just Jinder and the Singh brothers coming out, putting up pictures of girl like and just doing the over the top laughing, which is like it's funny the first time, but the law of diminishing returns. It was a good payoff for a really dirt 3 weeks.
Yeah. Jinder Mahal doesn't set the low bar.
He is
the low bar.
He doesn't do his thumbs up here. He's
No,
like he has
still
to nip
just a
those.
thumbs down. So yeah, I agree. It turned out good. I got a very Hogwarts vibe.
Yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, I'm a picture and I'm moving now.
And it was amazing. I mean, they couldn't afford seeing this, but they did pick the right town to do this in because this is probably the first time they've been getting loud Nakamura chants during the segments.
Where was it this week?
I didn't make a note of that.
Oh, okay.
But it was just like they were getting loud Nakamura chants, so it was like, brilliant. It sort of worked because you did it in this town and they knew what was coming. And so when Nak came out, he got a great reaction. It was like, okay, brilliant. This almost sort of works now. However, what I have noted here is that should this not be a Hell in a Cell match, because hasn't Jinder's gimmick been that he can't win without interference of the Singh brothers? So surely you'd want to put that inside a cage structure, but like one with a roof. Because even when you did the Punjabi prison, because there's no roof, Singh brothers got in, didn't
The
they?
Singh brothers can fit through the gaps.
Yeah.
They're so tiny. Little scamps. Imagine that, having a Punjabi prison and a Hell in a Cell suspended above the ring. Wouldn't work logistically.
I was going to say, now you're starting to talk about things like Hell in a Kennel, where you do a cage match and a Hell in a Cell.
Or just WCW it up. Cages upon cages, alongside cages.
Double cages with 2 rings.
The next up we had Usos taking on the Hype Bros, who had a short match, nothing really to it.
Was this all an ad break?
I can't remember if this was... No, the Carmella Charlotte one was an ad break.
That was all an ad break, yeah.
This one was just 3 minutes.
Just short.
Just short, yeah. But last week, there was a quite intriguing backstage segment where Mojo and Zack are looking pretty emo and angry. And I was like, I like you both looking angry, actually. You know, considering how over the top you usually are with being happy. And they said...
They're not happy, they're hyped.
They were hyped, sorry. And Mahal, who's the other
Mojo?
one? Mojo said...
Who's the other one?
The other one. The one who's not the internet guy. Said that they're going to tease something drastic. We need to do something drastic. So I was looking forward to this. I thought they were going to come out and kind of like badass it, heel it up. But they...
Got a jobber entrance.
You got a jobber entrance, and then Mojo collided with Ryder and then took the pin, which suggests to me that Ryder's going to turn on Rawley which seemed to be the way they were originally going, rather than them both turning heel as a tag team. And I'm thinking, you haven't got that many tag teams SmackDown, and how many times have we seen Friends break up this year?
Yeah,
it's a bit passé. So that's disappointing that they seem to be going in that direction. But how good were the New Day at ringside for this?
So awesome. I love the fact that they had the microphone in the popcorn box.
Yeah.
So good, because then when they handed it to Xavier Woods, he was just picking bits of popcorn off it. I thought it was wonderful.
That was great.
And then they made the bombshell announcement of challenging them to a Hell in a Cell match, a tag team Hell in a Cell match. And I was like, oh, that's really exciting, because I'll be honest, the New Day versus the Usos has been one of my favourite feuds of the year, because the matches have been nothing short of spectacular. I've just really enjoyed...
And that rap battle segment.
And the rap battle segment. I've just really enjoyed everything that they have done. So, them inside Hell in a Cell, where they can just really go hell for leather, no pun intended, I think it's going to be a great match. He's probably again going to steal the show.
Really looking forward to it, and I like the way they worked the penitentiary. Well, you said it, didn't you? You said they should have an Usos penitentiary match, maybe inside a steel cage. They put it inside a whole Hell in a Cell. I just, because it's a three-man team, I guess Xavier Woods just stands outside.
Yeah, well, isn't is one of them injured?
Xavier
Kofi.
Woods is.
Oh, Xavier Woods.
Kofi was injured, but he was medically cleared like 2 days
okay.
after. So that worked out well. But yes, this was good. I just remember back in the day, sometimes match stipulations were announced, and the whole crowd would go, "Oh my God, it's gonna be a last man standing match!" You know, and if it was a Hell, because they were a lot rarer back then, a Hell in a Cell, that would be insane, and I wouldn't be thinking about anything else for weeks. But when they said inside Hell in a Cell, the crowd was like, "Ah, cool, nice one."
Well, yeah, I mean, you could have expected now because the pay-per-view was called Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
That's always been the problem with these gimmick pay-per-views, is that you water down the potentially the big gimmicks. TNA did it when they did Lockdown. When you do nothing but cage matches all night, when you come to do a cage match at another pay-per-view, you're like, oh well, I mean, I've seen a whole pay-per-view of them. And then when it comes down to Lockdown, it's like, and it's going to be inside the 6 sides of steel. You're like, yeah, I know, because all of the matches are inside 6 sides of steel.
That's I do blame TNA for this, because it was Lockdown that really started this, the success of Lockdown, when really it wasn't the cage that was the reason for that. It was the Samoa Joe.
It was Joe Angle,
program.
yeah, totally.
And then you got like that horrible period. We still got Hell in a Cell, TLC, Money in the Bank, and Fatal 4-Way.
Well, I'm glad they only did that the once, or they might have done it twice. But TLC is another one. So when they announce there's going to be a TLC match at the next pay-per-view, you're like, yeah, I know, because that's what the pay-per-view's called. I've been waiting for you to announce the TLC thing.
Yeah, imagine if there's no TLC matches at TLC. It just doesn't... Yeah, it's not going to work.
Hopefully they bring back the stairs match.
Oh, God. Next up, we had one of SmackDown's better segments. Pride of Bulgaria, Rusev.
This was wonderful. From start to end, when Aiden English was in the ring with his really nice suit and sings the national anthem, and he introduces the mayor, and then Rusev comes out looking awesome. So happy with his big beard, and he's got his flag, and there's Aiden English singing
Loves
it.
Bulgaria.
And then you just like the steps that were left over from the flag match, they just managed to pull those out of storage, put them in the ring. This was brilliant. And then he hands him the ring that looks like the one from Super Mario 64. Oh, I loved it. I loved every single thing about this.
I had a huge grin on my face all the way through this.
Yeah.
Right up until even the autumn run-in at the end.
I had the same size grin that Rusev had.
Yeah. And what I really like is that we've never had anything backstage of Rusev and English being buddies. I mean, I guess there was the interaction last week with Orton. But I like it when heels just bandy together because they're heels.
But they did that on SmackDown last week when they had Kevin Owens and Aiden English backstage. He was like, I'm going to sing it like, oh, yes, because I need someone to sing the theme song for the Kevin Owens show.
So I really like how Aiden English is being used. I love when he reappropriates songs to have different lyrics.
Yep.
So he was singing Randy Orton's entrance music, but praising Rusev.
So good. Singing Rusev Day. Loved it.
And then when Randy Orton ran in and gave RKOs from, where was it? From out of
nowhere.
Yeah, from out of nowhere. I actually popped for Randy Orton.
Yeah, so did I,
This is fun. And this is like, if you're going to do a foreign heel gimmick in this day and age, mid-card, like solid mid-card and goofy.
Yeah.
And not offensive.
Because it was so goofy.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. I loved this. The only disappointment is that the mayor didn't get an RKO.
That would have been great.
That's what it's very... Because I'm sitting there, I was like, okay, well, I've got to wait for the Randy Orton run-out. The Randy-O.
That's my nickname sometimes.
The Randy Orton run out, and I'm looking at this old dude in the suit, and I'm thinking, can he take an RKO? Is he a trained wrestler? Has he been taught how to take a bump?
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see who's going to take an RKO.
Yeah. Well, maybe soon. Maybe he comes back as the new Rusev manager.
I was going to say, I hope he's like a recurring character.
Next up, we had not much to talk about here at all.
No.
Charlotte beating Carmella.
Yeah.
Carmella took pretty much the whole match. And then Charlotte just hit her with a super kick or something.
He does a big boot thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a bit like, okay. And it was a short match. James Ellsworth chained up at ringside.
Charlotte's going to face Natalya, so you don't want to have your contender losing. This more or less was...
I'd have booked her to look a bit stronger.
Well, yeah, I mean...
A bit more 50-50.
But that's if people are getting over.
And then Natalya came out and had quite a nice line about, I'm glad Ric Flair's okay now because then he can watch his daughter lose at Hell in a Cell.
Perfectly fine. Yeah, it's basic booking at its finest.
And
when I say finest, I mean like... Yeah, that's your bar.
Yeah. We are the bar. The low bar.
Smackdown Creative.
Yeah.
We don't set the bar. We
are the low bar.
We are the low bar.
Now, after our feedback, I don't know if Dolph actually watched last week's episode, but we said Dolph shouldn't come out and say, I'm going to do a crappy entrance now. He should just do the crappy entrance and everyone will go, oh, wow, this person's coming out.
Because it really worked this week, didn't it? And it worked for me a little bit, because I'm there taking my notes, like typing up the last thing, and then it went, bong, and I went, what?
Yeah.
And then went, oh, it's probably Dolph.
Yeah. There was like, I mean, I don't even think I was fooled once, but I felt like other people were.
People were, because you look at the crowd, everyone was not looking at the ramp, all of a sudden went, looking towards the ramp, thinking it was going to be The Undertaker.
I think it's very easy to be cynical at home and go, of course it was going to be Dolph Ziggler. If I'm in the SmackDown taping and I hear that the music goes and the smoke's pumping out, there's a little part of me I bet that would go, Taker.
But there is one, it's quite clear that it's not him when he walks out. He's about 5 foot shorter than him and certainly not as big. But when Dolph got into the ring, he said, oh mate, anyone can do this. And I didn't want to go like, well, clearly you can't, because that was the worst attempt at an Undertaker entrance I've ever seen.
You need to be about 5 steps slower.
The way he held himself was it was rubbish. So I'm sorry, Dolph, not everyone can do that. Only the Undertaker can do it. And if anyone can, you certainly can't.
Are you saying that a heel has made you angry? I think you've been played.
You reckon I've been...
I think that was the point of what he was doing.
You reckon I've been worked?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Well, he was saying like anyone can do that. By the way, he's a heel.
Yeah.
His whole thing has been critiquing overgrown entrances.
Yeah, but when he's critiquing the Undertaker, critiquing the Ultimate Warrior's entrance, when he ran down to the ring, he did look like the Ultimate Warrior running down to the ring. Point was, I'm saying is that's a very specific entrance to do that he did very poorly.
So then Bobby Roode came out, who, weirdly and quite ironically, considering the nature of this feud, does not have a good entrance anymore, because they've changed the font of his glorious and rude Titantron.
You've really worked up about that, aren't you?
I really like the crappy word art look for his...
That was never the intention, though. Again, I think you are reading far too much into that font, because everyone in NXT has that font, because they have, they don't have their proper entrance people doing these things in NXT. So when they then come up to the main roster and they give it, so all of a sudden all the production people go like, what's this?
Yeah.
Is this what you've been using in NXT? I'll give it here. I'll do it. I'll do you a better one now, because that's my job. In NXT, they've got about 5 minutes clip art, and then they just put it up on the screen. Roderick,
the little paper clip comes up at the bottom.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it looks like you're trying to make an NXT entrance. Roderick Strong had the same thing. Drew McIntyre's got the same thing. They all look naff. It's not exclusive to Bobby Roode.
Okay, well, whatever it is.
I think you've been worked.
I was a fan of the crappy Bobby Roode text, and maybe if someone made a parody video of it, and then they changed how the text looks the week after, maybe that's why someone will be annoyed.
Well, there is that, but that will live in infamy.
Yeah, so, Bobby Roode came out, as everyone kind of expected when Dolph started this shtick, and said, well, I've got substance to my style. I'm going to fight you, Dolph, at Hell in a Cell. How many matches were made for Hell in a Cell in this show?
Yeah, well, it has more or less been building for 3 weeks to get to this point, because this is the same as the Jinder thing. They've been doing the same thing for 3 weeks now. And as I've written here, not sure that required 3 weeks worth of build, but it was okay.
Yeah. So Bobby's going to be facing Dolph.
Okay, so I think Dolph...
I don't like him smiling.
No, well, no. I mean, Bobby's so much better as a heel, and I don't know why I think they're going to do the slow turn into him being a heel. That's what I hope, anyway. They don't just keep him as a babyface, because he's a natural heel. So I'm hoping this doesn't last for much longer. But Dolph is just in that mode now where he just puts over upcoming NXT guys. That's his role in life.
He did Nakamura's first feud.
And so now he's going to do Bobby Roode, and then
he can go to New Japan when his contract's up.
Yep, and join the Bullet Club, I guess.
He'd love that.
He probably would love that. He'll probably show up side buildings as well with 10 people and a megaphone and act like it's really cool.
Luke shoots on Bullet Club. That's going to be my next title.
I did watch it. It was very funny.
It was great. We've called this segment Under Dolph because it was the Undertaker, it was Dolph Ziggler, and I just wrote that out, and you came up with a much better reason for why it should be called Under Dolph.
Because he's not over anymore.
There we go.
Yeah.
The main event was Kevin Owens beating Sami Zayn in a nice little 7-minute match.
You said that was a no contest.
Yeah. Well,
I was going to say, have you said that in the review? Because I think you'll find that's wrong, mate. It was a no contest.
I went out on a limb, and I went on Reddit to see what they wrote, and they went, Kevin Owens beat Sami Zayn by murder. and I thought that's quite funny. And damn it. Yeah, okay, it was a no contest. Was it actually a no contest?
Well, of course it was. Like the match never finished.
But sometimes, you call off the referee calls off a match.
In which case, why did Kevin win?
Because if it's like a knockout, the other person can't continue anymore.
That's true. And that's how he did win the NXT Championship.
Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping. That's what I got from this.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, they had a good match. Few really nice spots. Dive to the outside. There was like a suplex on the apron at one point.
Yeah, and that was actually during the commercial break.
Yeah. There was a great... Yeah, there was a replay, wasn't it? They showed when they came back. Because I love Sami Zayn diving through the turnbuckle and doing the tornado DDT. And when Owens hit him with that super kick, I'm pretty sure I've seen that before, but I didn't see it coming there. That was good. But that went straight into the finish, which was a classic NXT callback of the powerbomb onto the apron. Sami Zayn can barely stand up. Referee calls off the match. Medics come down.
I have one critique of this very short match anyway. And that was they cut to the back at one point to show a door, and then Shane walks through that door, and I'm like, man, that looked so fake. Like, if you're going to do it, just make it feel a bit more natural. Like, oh my God, Shane's here. Yeah. And this actually does tie into a bigger point I'd like to talk about Smackdown, particularly with this feud, which I'm very invested in. I thought the way that the show was being built up, so you had this segment at the start where Sami and Kevin Owens were having this argument, this little tete-a-tete, and Daniel Bryan comes out and says, like, you're going to be in the main event tonight. And then Daniel Bryan calls Shane. He's like, Shane, you need to come down here. And Sami's like, don't tell Shane to come out. I need to do this match on my own. And then Shane does come out, and I was like, okay, so it's going to lead to one of the things where it looks like Sami is going to win, but then Shane causes a distraction, and then Kevin Owens does win, and then Sami can be mad at Shane, because I'm kind of intrigued. Maybe I'm fantasy booking this. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. I feel this is leading into a Sami heel turn. And I wonder whether this is going to lead to Sami and Kevin being a tag team, because Sami's going to realise that everything that I've been doing is wrong. And you were talking about it's his conscience, it's his good side. Sami is his good conscience arguing against Kevin Owens. That good conscience is going to realise that it's been wrong. And that's what. But perhaps that, and then so. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that was the way the story was playing through the show. And then when Shane came out, and then you mentioned it, you thought it was a bit of a silly bonk, when he had the chair wrapped around him.
Awful.
And then Shane just runs full pelt at him, and Kevin throws him into that. They didn't make enough of it, if my theory is going to be correct, because it should be... I mean, Shane should have looked like he was sorry that he hit Sami. But the commentators were putting it over as like, oh my God, he just knocked out Sami. Like, is Sami okay? Someone needs to go check out on Sami. And so Sami's going to be like, well, actually, Shane's hurt me as well. Which further fuels this into a Sami heel turn.
I took from this that Sami Zayn was just almost a hot body to put in there.
That's what you were saying about Tony Nese when you watched the
tour. He's fucking ripped.
Or swearing.
Frickin'.
Oh, okay, I thought I had to go through the defense of that for a second then.
I wouldn't... I bet I've been completely clean forever, but the one moment I swear is in reference to Tony Nese's incredible 8-pack. No, it looked like he was lit from beneath to make him look even more impressive. But it was... because you can't use Shane McMahon to get physical every week, Sami Zayn's kind of like what's the word? Someone avatar to fight with Owens in the meantime.
With my fantasy booking scenario, So this does lead to a Sami heel turn and a bit of an alliance towards them. But eventually Sami sees the light and realizes that he has been wrong, and he becomes that good conscience once again.
See, and I think Sami's one of those Ricky Steamboat types where he should never turn heel, or you should do everything in your power because the money's in him as a babyface.
But you once told me when you were doing a fantasy booking that the only reason you should turn someone heel is to then turn them back into a bigger babyface. When you did one of your fantasy bookings, it was turn someone heel, and your fantasy booking scenario was to not turn him heel.
Yeah, well, it was my if I was gonna be a wrestler, I would debut as a babyface because when I eventually turn heel, it would really be cool. Otherwise, you don't get that if you just turn heel, babyface, heel. But mine, that's not a copy and paste rule for everyone.
No,
Sami Zayn's one of those unique ones.
Okay.
Plus, I think the bigger money is in a Kevin Owens face turn, and then it's a tag team with him and Zayn, and then Owens just turns on him again in like a year or so, a sort of festival of friendship thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so KO took out Zayn, and they're escorting him out the arena. And KO's just sitting there on the announcer's desk.
It was wonderful. Great moment.
Facial expression's amazing. And then he goes after Zayn, wraps the chair around his neck to really injure him. That's when Shane runs down. And it was just... I don't think you pointed out how ridiculous it looked. Shane was running down, and it didn't look like Owens even pushed him. It just looked like McMahon ran down straight into Sami Zayn, who had a chair on his head. Couldn't be more obvious.
It was shot quite poorly, and even when they showed replays, they did not have one decent camera angle of it.
But I liked Owens running through the crowd and sort of doing that stare down, and Shane's on the top rope, and then all of a sudden I was like, actually, I'm into this feud between Shane and Owens.
I'd be more interested if they got that little Sami Zayn thing in there as well, because Shane didn't see if he was all right.
So Raw or SmackDown, very quickly, there's a poll above our heads for you to give your opinion, but which brand won it for you this week?
I'm going Smackdown this week.
Oh, really? Because of the Owens stuff?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Kevin Owens stuff. I really enjoyed the Rusev celebration. I enjoyed the Nakamura reveal. I thought it was a pretty decent little show. I really enjoyed it.
We're going to disagree.
Again?
I've gone for Raw this week.
Why Raw?
Because I just really the more we talked about it, the more I enjoyed the Cruiserweight stuff. I liked the Braun stuff. I was very impressed the way they made him right back up there again. Not right back up there, but definitely took steps. And I thought the wrestling overall was of a better quality.
Well, you're always going to get that on Raw because you get longer matches.
Yeah, well, not all the time, but yes. Sometimes you'll just have 8 3-minute matches.
It's my only complaint I've had about SmackDown for the last while. We haven't had what we said about the US stuff. We've not had a decent 10-15 minute match, and it's not like you don't have time.
Yeah,
you've got loads of time to do it.
So that's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared over Luke's face to catch up with the latest WrestleRamble or WrestleTalk news. Subscribe to this channel and the podcast on many different providers, and support WrestleTalk on Patreon. This has been Luke Owen. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was WrestleRambling.